Fellow auto detailers, welcome to the show that features interviews with today's most successful auto detailers. This is the Auto Detailing Podcast. Here's your host, Jimbo Balaam.
This week's episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast is brought to you by Google AdWords for the modern auto detail business. Now, if you're a loyal listener of the show, you've been hearing the ad run a lot for Google Ads, the Google Ads course. And that's because it is so effective. It is crucial for your business. And in fact, that is exactly what one of the students of the course has said, that this is absolutely crucial. He even compared it to getting just training in general for your detailing business. He operates in the Australia area, or the country of Australia, and he said he's usually dead during the wintertime. And because of this Google Ads training, he's getting 3 to 6 new clients every single week. And in fact, just with 3 calls, he made over $600 in a couple days. Another student of the course spent $40 and made over $1,000 with the help of this course. And so I really wanted to bring in these testimonials to show no matter what your budget was, you can effectively use these Google ad techniques that I teach you in the Google AdWords course at autodetailingpodcast.com/Google. That's autodetailingpodcast.com/Google. If you're looking to take your business to the next level and to smash your competition, you got to head over to autodetailingpodcast.com/Google. On to the show. Hey, it's Jimbo with the Auto Detailing Podcast, coming back for another quick tip from my mobile studio, my mobile recording studio, aka the van. So if the audio quality isn't the best, I'm sorry, but I'm trying to do this on the road. Anyway, today is about setting expectations for your customers, delivering on those expectations, over-delivering on those expectations, and that resulting in more profits for you, bigger profits for you, and also more customer loyalty. And how do all those things intermingle together? And also having too much knowledge. So too much knowledge being online forums and online Facebook groups and stuff like that, where other guys post pictures where you don't really know the background or the context of that detail. So setting expectations for your customers are huge. And what does this look like? When a customer calls you and the most famous thing is, I need my car detailed. Well, I always like to ask, what does that mean to you? Or what does that look like to you, to the customer? Because a detail to me and a detail to them could be 2 different things. Actually, more than 2 different things. Could be a few different things. Anyway, so I like to get their, what does a detail mean to you? And then beyond that, why are you getting this car detailed? Are you getting this car detailed because you're going to sell it? Are you getting it detailed because you just purchased the car? Are you getting the detail because there's a spot or a stain or a scratch that bothers you? Are you getting a detail because you're an OCD clean freak? Are you getting the detail as a gift? Whatever. Or do you want the paint to look perfect? Do you want the interior to look perfect? There's all these different angles that you need to know before you ever even really quote the vehicle properly, in my opinion, because you need to set those expectations right off the bat, or you need to understand those expectations of the customer so that you can give them a more accurate quote. For example, and this can take so many different angles, but for example, let's say someone calls you and they have a 2-year-old car and they want it detailed. And after you ask all your questions, you've come to the conclusion that they want a full detail, to throw out another generic term. So beyond that, they want they want it looking presentable. They're going to sell the car, and you've tried to sell them, or maybe they're not going to sell the car. They just want to eke a couple more years out of the car. And through your questioning, you realize that they, every once in a while take it through the tunnel wash, the local gas station, They love the free maintenance washes from the dealers. So you are obviously not going to be, here's where it becomes important to ask those types of questions, because you know that you're probably not going to want to upsell, or they're not going to go for the upsell to a full paint correction because they like taking it through the tunnel car washes. They can't maybe see the spider webbing that you're talking about. So you know that maybe you try to upsell to that, but you know it's not important to the customer. So again, setting expectations. So they're not going to expect the paint to be flawless because they can't even really see it, they don't really care, and they don't really want that. So for you, being the detailer, you don't need to spend extra time perfecting the paint because that's not the expectation of the customer. What they really care about is the interior floor mats, and they want the paint shiny, and maybe their rims kind of bug them, or they can't stand streaky windows. You know, again, setting expectations so you know exactly what to deliver on to make that customer as happy as possible. So ask as many questions as possible. Now, on the flip side of that, you may get a customer that just purchased a car and they're noticing all these little tiny imperfections. And after asking your set of questions, you realize that, you know what, these people are meticulous. They are going to want their paint perfect. It's a black car maybe, or whatever the color is. So, boom, then you can really raise the bar, show them how you can shine, upsell them to a coating. And again, you're raising the expectations of your service and of the products that you're using. So you really want to make sure you're dialed in and you trust maybe the coating that you're using, or maybe you're just going to apply a sealant, but make sure you tell them the limitations of that sealant, the limitations of that coating, and be straight up with them, as well as the benefits of all those things. But you really need to be setting those expectations. And a real danger zone in this area that I see people doing is they're setting the expectations way too high on a sealant or on a coating, and to the detriment of the detailer, the coating companies are making their coating seem like they're I'm hesitant to say this because of a couple brands that I think deliver on good coatings, but their coatings are pretty much bulletproof, which coatings are not bulletproof. If clear coats aren't bulletproof, coatings are not bulletproof, okay? Regardless of how many H's or how many numbers are in front of the H's for hardness or whatever. At any rate, this is not about that. This is about setting the expectations for your customers. So ensuring that you will have return customers and grow your business the right way without misleading people. So again, going back to the example of the full paint correction and coating, setting the expectations that, look, I will get your car perfect. I will put the most durable protection on top of your car that I possibly can. But if you run it through a tunnel car wash, or if you get it washed at the dealer, you are going to have some issues with micro marring and those things. So then it may get to a point where the customer goes, you know what, I may run it through the tunnel wash in a pinch. They may wash it for me at the dealer when I ask them not to. So maybe I don't need to get the full paint correction because I'm going to be really upset. And here's where, again, setting expectations for you. You don't want the customer to be upset with you when they bring their car back, when they improperly took care of it. And they said, well, remember, you said that you put on that coating for $1,000 and it wasn't going to do this, and now it did it, and I want you to fix it. So again, creating that buffer zone for you personally so that you don't run into those potential arguments with customers, setting the expectations. So maybe you only correct their paint to 85%, and we all know taking paint from 85% to 100% could be a difference of many, many hours. And remember, every hour that you're working on the customer's car that you haven't charged for, you're making less an hour. So you may be able to increase your profits substantially by not working on that car for an extra 4 hours because you've set the right expectations for your customer. So reevaluate your processes when you're talking to customers, when you're evaluating cars, and set those expectations. And this is not to say that you shouldn't be doing full corrections and coatings. It's just that if you are doing full corrections and coatings, to make sure you're laying down the proper groundwork to buffer yourself to not get an angry customer coming back to you. And really educating your customer on what can be done, what should be done, and what their expectations should be. Because if they're bringing in a completely beat, 95 Ford Mustang that's been repainted by a shoddy guy who left a bunch of overspray on the interior, their expectations can't be too high, which is what I just dealt with personally, that exact car. So, but again, you can still be profitable if you set the right expectations. With the example of the Ford Mustang that I just did, the paint job was totally shoddy. You could tell the guy did it literally in his backyard. There was a ton of fisheyes on the rear spoiler. But I set the right expectations for the customer. He was stoked when I was done, and it was a very profitable day for me, just because I set the right expectations. So do the same, ask a ton of questions, make sure you and your customer are definitely on the same page before you go out and detail their car, whatever the service it is that you're going to be delivering on, and then ensure that you can over-deliver on it for your customer. You're going to grow your business. You're going to indoctrinate your brand into your community, and you're going to be profitable, which it's all about.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Auto Detailing Podcast. Head on over to autodetailingpodcast.com for full show notes and links of everything that we've talked about today. And don't forget to check out our resources page for a direct link to all the products talked about not only on today's episode, but that I use in my day-to-day detail business. They have direct links so you can purchase and get free shipping right from that page. That's autodetailingpodcast.com. We'll see you on the next episode.